welcome you to After Hours with the Beavs and the Cougs. This is a different type of experience than many of you have probably had at media days, because it's not a media day. It's going to be a unique experience tonight and a really fun one. And when I think about After Hours, I can't help but think about these two communities, right? Because really in Pullman and Corvallis, it's fun when the sun goes down. And my first memory, Teresa, was 2017. Mike Leach, Washington State, they host USC, and they get the win. If you remember that game afterwards, he gets interviewed and he says a quote that will live forever. He says, "This is like Woodstock, except everybody has their clothes on." Remember that quote? And then I started thinking about After Hours when I was back in the day when I was coaching at USC, and we went up and played Oregon State. Twice in the top 10, even the top 5. Trent, I know you remember those games. And by the time you let us out of Research Stadium, 2 L's. Beautiful night, and I can remember the reverence that Coach Carroll and Mike Riley had with one another. It was a really powerful night. And then I think about tonight. And all of you didn't have to come to this. And on behalf of Teresa and us, we just want to thank you for coming, making the time. I know some of you are catching red eyes. Some of you adjusted your flight. Some of you even flew in just for this event. So thank you for covering these teams, because these two teams really deserve it. They've earned it. They've done what a lot of teams haven't done in college football, which is they've won. They've won consistently. Oregon State, first-round pick last year in the draft. Look what Washington State has done in the history of their program. Bowl game, bowl game, bowl game, just success. Both teams last year, both ranked in the top 15. And it's interesting now in college football, you know this better than I, Teresa, it is a turbulent time. It's like a day doesn't go by where Ross Dellinger has to cover like a case, coming from the government and this sport. But I think as I look around, everybody in this room got involved in sport like you did because they love the players, we love the stories, love taking the helmet off. And we love when the players and the coaches share with us how they've met the moment. And these two schools have met the moment. The stories you're going to hear tonight are going to be powerful. It's not going to be like it is at traditional media days. It's going to be the stories of who these young men are, not about how they play and just how they come off the edge, how they run a route, how they make plays, how they lead their teams, but really what their essence is. So a little framework for tonight. The way it's going to work is that you're going to hear from the 2 head coaches. You're going to hear from some greats, like true greats that you've already seen in this room. Then you're going to hear from incredible athletes at both of these institutions, and then we'll bring Teresa back on stage. Now, in between each one of these sessions is where the night's going to be entertaining. There's a player at Oregon State, former player, named Taylor Kavanaugh, who you all know very well. Walked on, got a scholarship, just one of those amazing stories. Got a production company called Blue Ox Films out of Portland and Los Angeles. And after Teresa and Josh and Dustin and them blessed this night and created this idea, we called him. And without flinching, he said, "Yeah, I'm in. Just like these teams haven't flinched amid adversity." He said, "I want to create a short film on these 2 schools and honor their past, their present, and their future." So with that, I want to present to you this short film titled "Welcome to the Fight," and here's Act 1.
The world loves a good underdog story. So why not start at the beginning?
One of the West's most exciting ball teams.
The story of Oregon State and Washington State starts back decades. 2 institutions rich in history and success that have cultivated a legacy of excellence, resilience, and community of devoted, dedicated fans that extend far beyond their campuses.
Old Crimson making its 187th.
From dominant runs and grind you down, beat you up play, the Beavers set the standard for standing tall against any opponent. Building a foundation for the future success their athletic program continues to see today. And just up north, nestled in the foothills of eastern Washington, lies another program that built and grew its success in perseverance.
Thompson hitting Ryan. Straight to 10-5. Touchdown, Washington State. Play fake going into the end zone. Watch Davis or Bobo. Touchdown, Washington State. Man wide open at the 15.
Program with flash, swagger, and success. The Cougars cemented themselves as one that backs down to no one.
Touchdown, Washington State.
The goalposts come down and the Cougars upset the Huskies 24-20.
There's one common thread, something deep that binds them together. Something intangible, something that can't be bought, can't be leveraged, sold, or negotiated. It's something built, brick by brick through decades of dedication.
Bledsoe going into the end zone.
What a comeback for the Oregon State Beavers.
These schools have grit.
Touchdown, Beavers!
They've got heart, passion, pride, and perseverance.
There he is, the throwing Samoan.
The Heisman Trophy. It's a real highlight of my life.
It's this foundation that brought these two programs into the spotlight and will carry them through into the future.
It's celebration time for the Beavers. Game over.
I want to welcome both head coaches up to the stage. Sorry, you two can hang if you want, but I don't know. Let's let the coaches take over a little bit if we can. There we go. There we go. What's up, man? Beautiful.
We're going to go full Step Brothers and interview as a team.
Yeah, there we go. As we should. As we should. So both of you, thank you for the time and coming tonight and bringing your team and being a part of this thing. But the title of the film is Welcome to the Fight. It's been a fight. You know, Jake, I feel like you could get a book written about like your time at Washington State. I'm sure somebody out here would want to pen it if they could ghostwrite that thing. But you've lived this really since August 4th. Trent, you've lived this as an assistant, but also since you took over as a head coach. What has it been like navigating this fight for you in your respective roles?
Well, I would say first and foremost, you know, just kind of going through it. We went through it all really together at the same time. You know, that's why I want to thank you, Yogi. It's not like your life hasn't been upturned by all this stuff, and you've been such a positive voice for the Pac-12 and our two programs and doing it in a first-class manner. It's hard when there's things happening to you that you can't control. And I think at the moment, you know, a lot of times you spent a lot of energy trying to change this past, and we're just putting all of our energy now into creating a new future. And I believe as Washington State, we're better off for going through the storms. It happened to us first, but it's definitely not going to happen to us last. So I think we're prized. We're not licking our wounds, we're licking our chops, because now is opportunity. And to go out there and put a great football product on the field, chaos creates a spotlight. And I believe the spotlight are on both of our programs to see how we're going to do this season. And I think we're poised to do really well. So we're excited about what that brings. But yeah, the last 5 years have been interesting. Going into year 5 now for me at Washington State in different roles, but excited about what we've been able to build.
How about for you, Coach?
Yeah, I think very similar. The opportunity that we have to do something special in this kind of new landscape of college football, that's kind of been our deal, is like we're excited about that opportunity. We're excited to kind of, you know, play with the chip on our shoulder and show the world in college football, you know, what we can do. And both our programs have been top 25 teams over the last couple of years and are really good football teams, and we look forward to displaying that this fall.
Not a lot of coaches in the country that are coaching where they played. You're like that. Guys on your staff are like that. What's that like for you? You referenced the chip on your shoulder. I got to imagine it's a little unique having put on the uniform.
It is. It's that was a big part in hiring. I wanted guys that wanted to be at Oregon State. It wasn't a paycheck. It wasn't a stepping stone job. So going out there and looking for guys that are elite at what they do, number one, but also, you know, have a tie and want to raise their kids in Corvallis, want to be a part of this thing. And I feel great about that staff and having those guys on our staff.
You know, I really feel from other media days over our time here in Las Vegas, I've talked to coaches and people across the country, like the ones that are here in this room. It feels like you guys are like America's team. Like, if anybody's played a sport like and competed, how do you not root for what you guys have gone through? I'm curious, do you feel that at all in the role that you sit in right now?
I would say sometimes you're so laser focused just on your own situation and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to build. I think Cougs, you feel more from a fan base. You know, Cougs everywhere, from coast to coast, you know, just chiming in and showing their support and showing that passion. I think I felt that more than ever, than even I have through the 5 years that I've been there. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing. But you only hear the noise that you allow in. And I think that both of our programs probably have to do a really good job of staying focused on the task at hand, and that's getting ready for a tough football season.
And Trent, I'm curious for you, because I think a lot of us that cover the sport, we try to project what's it like in a locker room. What's it like in this NIL, transfer portal world? Curious what your team has been like and what you've learned about them in reality within the walls of your facility.
Yeah, it's a unique time. I think it's it still goes back to one thing, the star of the team. That was a big for us the last couple of years, and I believe in it. The individual is, part of the team, so it starts from the individual that feeds into the team. And so we want to be about team first, player-led, team first, and if we do those things, then we can continue the success that we've had.
Coach Dickert, you referenced last year many times the quote, "We belong."
Yeah.
So when you look at the top levels of college football, where do you stand right now around that concept? I'd imagine you'd agree with it, but provide a little depth if you can.
I feel the same way I did back then. I think the biggest thing you have to look at when things turn over is investment, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that we've been trying to do at Washington State, and just take a stroll through campus, building a brand new indoor football facility, one that's, Mike Price was promised, 20 years ago. I'm sure, Ryan, you were recruited on that deal, right? There you go. There you go. Jack, you were out in the snow. You had no chance. We have a new Champion Center complex, mental health services, new academic center. We're just finished up on, getting the funding for a new locker room. So investment is being had. And I think that's an important place. And those are the places that we want to be at. They love their Cougs. They want to invest heavily in it. And it's a great athlete experience, right? So that's where we're at. And when you run out the field and at Giza, you feel it in the people and the passion in the place. And I think that's very special to be at Washington State.
One more for each of you, and then we'll open it up to the media. But I'm curious for you, Trent. You and I have talked about the opportunity with this expanded playoff and the CFP, even a mid-conference realignment. You talk about that with your team at all, and what do you think about the opportunities available to Oregon State, even in a two-team league, but with the playoff expanded?
Yeah, we've talked a ton about it. This is probably the best opportunity we've had as a program to make it to that expanded playoff. When you look at 7 home games and how hard it is to play in Research Stadium, how our season lines up with buys and who we got and where we got them, I think our opportunity is better now than it ever has been, and certainly better than if we'd run off to other conferences with some of those other teams. So we're really excited about this unique opportunities over these next 2 years for sure to do something really special.
And Jake, you've seen small football in college football,
yeah.
Small divisions to where you sit now. Curious your thoughts on the state of the game.
I think it's really important, what lens are you looking through? The lens I look through, Yogi, is that this is the greatest sport in all the world. And not just football, college football. The passion, the traditions, the rivalries, the fast pace, the tempo. Not great for our defensive coaches, right? But it's an exciting brand, right? So if you watch it through that lens, the chaos, the challenges, the ever-changing landscape, you still look at it and say, we are, in the best profession that you possibly could be in. We get to work with great student athletes. Right? I got Kyle Williams, Kyle Thornton, guys with completely different stories, backgrounds, bonded together because they love the team and they love the Cougs. And that's where we're at. And, I think if you're creative and crafty, you got to set yourself up to navigate what's next. And that's where I think both of our programs are. Like I said, we've been through the storm. New opportunities are there if you want to take advantage of them. There's more opportunities than ever for coaches. There's more opportunities than ever for players. And I believe there's more opportunities than ever for programs that want to go out there and do it, right? Trent alluded to it. There's 7 CFP spots. It used to never be that way, right? The at-larges, right? So we're just excited about going out there and creating opportunities for yourself. But you have to go out there and create those opportunities because that's the world we now live in. And heck, I'd love to see the playoffs go to 28 teams, right? Kids have proven they want to play in the playoffs, right? So go out there, and that's how D3 does it when I was there, right? So let's find that type of model. Let's go out there and do it, and I just think it's exciting times that are ahead.
Well said. All right, let's open it up. If you got a question, you know the deal. State your name and affiliation. We'll get a mic to you.
Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press. For either one of you gentlemen, as you head into camp, has it been difficult to sort of compartmentalize and get your players focused and I mean, they're motivated for the season, but with all that's taken place, I mean, where is the mindset in getting them hyped up for this season when it's not a season that they've been used to, or why they first, came to the West Coast or came to the Pac-12?
Yeah, actually, it's been pretty easy, actually. They're more focused than ever. I think last year there was a lot of uncertainty And that can lead to distractions. We know exactly where we're at and who we're playing and what we're doing. We also, a lot of young guys on our team, a lot of new guys on our team, so there's a lot of guys that haven't been through it anyway. But I think the overall excitement and optimism for what's ahead has led to a pretty easy way for them to get excited about what's going on.
Yeah, I'd piggyback off that. I actually think it's pretty easy because they made their decision in January. They want to be here. They want to do this thing together. They want to stay in the fight at a place that they chose to be to a long time ago. And I told our coaches to be very proud of the fact that the majority of our roster stayed. And it's because we're treating them right, we're developing them correctly, and they want to do something really special together. So I actually think they're laser focused on going out there and attacking this season.
Ron Stone, Jr., Cougar alum. Have we given much thought about what we're going to call the game between the Cougs and the Beavs? You know, we know it's got to be some type of feuding rivalry between us now.
That is a great question. And I ask that to Teresa when she comes up. I think that's a perfect question for her. Unless, Trent, you got something off the top rope.
I don't, no.
No, but there could be some big ones.
I want to piggyback on something that you just referenced. We're in an era where the 4 players that are here now, they had opportunities. I'm sure people are in their DMs asking them to want to go, especially when the conference did what it did. What did you learn about the players that chose to say, no, I want to be here, I want to stay?
For me, number one, just very thankful and grateful for them to have that belief in our place, in myself, and what's going on, at our universities. But it says a lot about them as well, of being a part of something bigger than yourself. And they came here for a reason. They believed in this place for a reason, and their willingness to stick it out in these kind of tough times, as the outside world is calling them, I think it's very admirable.
First thing I would say, that doesn't mean it doesn't come with a lot of hard conversations. We've had a lot of those, and I think you got to be open and honest. I think college football has created a more professional environment. Our 18 to 23-year-olds ready for those conversations. I encourage them to have them. Don't do it in the dark. Do it out in the open. Be treated like a professional in everything that we do. I think that's very important, and show them that we support all their goals and dreams. And I think when you align, just because we're in this current situation doesn't mean we can't add value to them in their lives in many different ways. And I think that's what we try to rely on as much as we can.
Anybody else? Question in the back? Yep, there we go.
Nate Kreckman, Mountain West Radio Network. You guys are going to play a whole lot of Mountain West teams this year. What do you think of the reputation of that league? What stands out to you about that conference? Maybe who are some of the opponents that really stand out on the schedule that you guys are looking forward to playing?
Well, we play 9. So I think we play more than the actual Mountain West does. So we're going to be very familiar with them. I think the biggest thing is I got 3 years of experience in that league as a defensive coordinator at Wyoming, and some great venues. Don't tell me going into Boise on a Saturday night isn't tougher than playing at a Cal or Stanford at times. In those type of situations and environments. Fresno, they riled up down there. San Diego State. I mean, it's great. Within this year of just having this time to figure out where we're going, I think being regional is very important. Kyle Williams' family can come watch him. He's already requested like 300 tickets for San Diego State, right? So I just think that's important as we're going through this. I have a lot of respect for that league, but you also have to understand the narrative. The narrative is that, it's just going to be easy. You're just going to go play a bunch of Mountain West teams. It doesn't happen like that. They are proud programs. Obviously, Boise has a lot of preseason clout, well-deserved and earned, and we both play that team, and we're excited about those challenges. But at the end of the day, it's us versus us versus us, and we got to be focused on what we're doing on a weekly basis.
Yeah, same thing. A lot of respect for that league. I know from coaching and playing against, the Boise's, the Fresno's over my time at Oregon State. They're tough teams, and they're tough places to play. And yeah, a lot of respect and a lot of great teams in that league. So it's going to be a challenge. There's no question.
All right. Well, they'll be available for one-on-ones after. But coaches, we appreciate you taking the time and answering the questions here at After Hours with the Cougs and Beavs.
Appreciate you, Yogi. Thank you.
Give it up. Give it up.
Yeah.
In the past couple decades, these programs were unleashed into the national conversation.
Sammy Strutter! That's a 2-point
house, and they got to score, and you got to stop them. That's what everyone plays the game for.
They give it to Quinn. The Beavers shock the college football world.
It's recovered by the Cougars.
It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
Football at Wazoo, explosive. The air raid offense was firing on all cylinders, raining down touchdowns, racking up wins, and putting on a show while they did it.
Touchdown to give Wazoo the lead with 3 seconds to go.
Down in Corvallis, sheesh.
The Civil War belongs to Oregon State.
He's sacked. That'll do it.
Greats took the field, and dang, they were fun to watch. Guys like Drew Bledsoe, Jacquizz Rodgers, Steven Jackson, Ryan Leaf, Sean Mannion, Mike Hass, Jason Hanson, TJ Hushmanzada, Gardner Minshew. Whew, you get the idea.
Hold on.
Man, it was ice cold. Win after win, after win, after win. Plays that defy physics. They made the impossible look routine.
Pass fakes again. Down the left sideline. Touchdown. Interplays Rodgers in. Touchdown Beavers.
And speaking of elite, let's take a moment to talk about those trophies.
The 20th annual Bletnikoff Award to Brandon Cooks from Oregon State.
Why would you want to be a backup at Alabama when you can lead the nation in passing in Washington State?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
And that's exactly what he did. Taking a shot. Hodgins, touchdown Beavers.
They took the foundation of those before them and built something even greater.
In this moment, it's everything. Block punt is scoop and score for the Beavers.
Training like warriors, performing like legends.
Brandon Cooks, touchdown, 75 yards.
You know these three, obviously, Jack Thompson, Ryan Leaf, Steven Jackson. Illustrious careers at your respective institutions. Also 22 combined years in the NFL. True legends at your schools. I'm curious for all of you. Jack, I want to start with you. You watched this film. You've seen and lived what has happened. You wore these jerseys. Like, how do you feel right now?
Well, as I was sitting there, I'm just reflecting on how much things have changed in a year. But I got to say this. Thank you, Commissioner Gould, for laying it out. I mean, talking about framing the task at hand for our two schools. And it's beautiful because our two schools are so much alike. You know, we're land-grant schools, and our cultures are similar. We're ass-kicking people. And that's what I want to see happen here. And you said it earlier about, you know, being America's teams. You couldn't ask for two better institutions to back. So I challenge everyone out there in the country to really take a look at our institutions and the great things that we've done. College football, college sports needs us. It needs us to succeed for all the right reasons. And I can talk for hours, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, you could feel the passion in your voice, and you've always had that. Ryan, for you, you've always had passion too, man. But you, unlike many people in the world, you've been able to rewrite your story in a beautiful fashion. Your school is rewriting their story in a beautiful fashion. How do you feel about how it's going down?
I think the only reason why I'm truly here is because I went to Washington State. He's been a mentor to me since I was 18 years old. So I understand the passion. I also understand the fact that anybody can be a Trojan. Anybody can be a Duck. Like, it takes a special person to be a Beaver or be a Coug. It just does. There aren't Gardner Minshews that go to USC, okay? He is identified everywhere, and he's a Coug for 6 months. That's how special of a place it is. It's just a different opportunity, and you go through adversity. I don't think anybody else knows a better way to get back up than Cougs and Beavs, just because we get kicked down so much. And this is a perfect example of that. The way it was joked about last year on some of the largest platforms, when something needed to be celebrated. Like two teams going through the most adverse conditions, I don't know if you remember, when they played each other. Both in the top 15, undefeated teams. And you watch the guys on College game day make it a joke. Like, that's the problem. And everybody in this room here has come together tonight to try to celebrate something. Trent, your dad cussed me out every damn day in practice, and you're going to do the same thing at Oregon State. I can't imagine what those kids are going to grow up to be. Jake, I feel a bit responsible because I did ask Pat Chun to get Nick Rolovich the job, and of course that brought you along, and now we're here. So I kind of, I'll take that too. But there's a lot of gratitude that comes with being a Coug. And I get to live in that gratitude every single day.
Stephen, I want to read something that Scott Barnes sent out to Oregon State fans via newsletter. He said, "I hear you and know that it feels like since August we've been on the receiving end of multiple gut punches. When that happens, you're faced with two options: exit the ring or throw counter punches. Hear this, Beaver Nation. The gloves are on and we will not stray from our mission. We will rise together, shoulder to shoulder, supporting our student athletes and coaches while never backing down. You are one of those student athletes. You also inspire that entire locker room. What did that make you feel as you not only live what these guys just described, but also heard his message?"
Well, it's one of those things where, I reflect back, why did I decide to go to Oregon State? And I remember talking to Coach Erickson at the time, and he said, this is a program where you could leave your fingerprints on. And it was just wet cement. And I was like, I get it. It was one of those things, you show up with your hard hat, but if you do your job, you can leave an impression for those to see and to follow. And it was just one of those things where Beaver Nation embraced me from day one. A lot of universities that were spoken of overlook, and when you think about student athletes that's here, all of us have been overlooked by someone. But then to have someone say, "You're one of us," you're like, damn right I am, So when everything was happening last year, and even with the messages and the jokes, I took it as an insult, an attack on the West Coast, like West Coast sports, because it's supposed to be regional. Our student athletes are supposed to be students as well as athletes. So going to class is just as important as going to weight training and film study and practice. And that gentleman there, coach, I'm getting used to calling him coach because we were teammates. We came in as freshmen together. Trent and I came in as freshmen together. So when I see the coaching staff he's put together and I see his commitment in staying in the university, it showed me that everything that Coach Erickson said to me not only involved me, but involved everyone that he recruited and brought to campus.
Any other questions? Okay, Ryan, I want to end with you. You talked to locker rooms all across the globe. You were talking to the locker room in Corvallis and in Pullman. I'm curious what your message might be as training camp is only a couple weeks away and they're entering unknown territory that no one has ever seen in college football for these two schools.
Yeah, I would say what I usually say to most locker rooms when I walk in there is, and I think it's coach speak. It really is. It's, I don't care where they play or who they play or when they play or what network they play on. I'm going to root for you. I want to watch. I want to watch Cougars play because they play harder than anybody else, because they're playing for more. There's something that's been lost in college football with this new generation. When I was 18, when you made the decision like you just said, you made a decision on who you were going to be the rest of your life. When I signed that deal when I was 18 years old, I was going to be a Coug the rest of my life. There's an identity that comes with that. And it ended up being the greatest thing I ever did. Because I, too, just wanted to feel a part of something. I didn't feel that way growing up where I did. I just felt different. I'm the only Montanan who's ever been drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. Like, there's more first-round draft picks in the Manning family than the whole state of Montana ever, okay? I just didn't feel like I was a part of something. And the moment I walked on campus and the fans the feeling of winning a Pac-10 championship in Husky Stadium and having it flooded with crimson and carrying you off the field, there will be nothing ever that compares to that for me. And it's been a complicated relationship afterwards. But the thing I always wanted, I just wanted to be a part of it. And I don't think the fan base ever let me go. And so when I look into the eyes of these guys, whether I'm in Corvallis or whether I'm in Pullman, you look around at your brothers, and you have to have the understanding that you are responsible for one another, period. I don't care if it's for 1 year, that's all we live in sometimes. And sometimes we break it down day to day and minute to minute to get through it. But you're responsible for one another. And you do your job. You control what you can control. And everything works out the way it is. It is what it is, and that's how it is. And I think what you both have in front of you this year, and as it turns out, it may be one of the most opportunistic things that could have come about in all of this. You've kept the Pac-12 brand. Because guess what? They're going to come scrambling back when the boats get full, when the new college football playoff changes in 2 years or whatever it's going to look like, okay? And you guys are going to be the foundation of that. And you got a leadership that is in control right now that understands that too. And no one will forget who was loyal to one another. And that stems from what happens in that locker room too. Coaches are the same way. Coach Bray could have left. Coach Dickert certainly could have. These are situational times where coaches have to do what's best for themselves, and what they fully understood about what was important was you young men. And that's what made my time in Pullman so special, because I had a guy, that guy would have died for me. He certainly would. We spent nights after nights watching film on that couch. I'd fall asleep. I'd wake up, there's a blue screen, he'd fallen asleep. Joyce would come bring me an apple pie every Thursday night. This is a special time. And with all the chaos that changed that, it hasn't in Corvallis and Pullman, I don't think. I don't believe that to be true. I don't care if people think we're old-fashioned. You know, old-fashioned football and butt kicking still works.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right? And these two are perfect examples and representations of both of those. And it's what makes us special. Like I told you earlier when I first started, not everybody is cut out or meant to be a Cougar or a Beaver. It just isn't. You know, no fault of their own, okay? They can be a Duck. They can be a Husky. I don't wish that on anybody else, but they've made the right choice. And they should be applauded for that. And I'm incredibly grateful for everything that Washington State has ever given me.
That's well said. That's well said. We got a question in the back.
Mike Wilson, Sports Byline Radio. Stephen, you and I spoke at a couple years ago at the Hall of Honor, and you talked about how you go to the university and you check in on practice, those kind of things. Are you going to continue to do that, and have you done that lately? And what are you going to tell those players up in Corvallis?
I had actually the honor of 3 weeks ago of being a commencement speaker at graduation. Wow. And Oregon State has always given me a platform, not only just to represent them as an athlete, but to also show my growth. I left school after my junior year, and I made a commitment to finish my degree. And after my NFL career, I went back and enrolled online. So not only did I become a student again, but I became a student that had to go through, the whole turning things in online, right? So I'm the old guy in class. But being in class and going back to campus, I realized that we are able to touch so many students. And being a little older, I also realized that there are professors that actually have just as much as commitment to the program and to the university that we do as student athletes. And you're just so far away from it because you're so locked in as a student athlete about what you need to do. But having a chance to go back and finish my degree and talk to some of the professors and just network amongst the campus, I realized that we represent more than the few guys in the locker room. We represent from Atlantic to the Pacific, those that share our campuses and those that share what we experience in the Northwest. We know how magical it is. We want to go out there and just preach it and show it. So having the honor of going back and being a commencement speaker, not only am I committed to the football program, but I'm committed to the university.
Well said. I got to ask you, what was he like as a freshman?
Trent?
Yeah.
He was that linebacker that always just tagged off on you even when you wasn't supposed to. He just tagged off and I would have made the play. So he was that kind of defender.
Well said. Jack, you were so connected to the university. Every event that I'm ever at, you're there. I mean, your name is in the stadium. Curious what it's like when you talk to fellow alums, donors. Got a new athletic director here now. What are the conversations like among those people as you move forward?
Well, the people I hang out with are, like me, pissed.
Yeah.
And like me, want to be a part of the solution. And we get guys like Ryan coming back and doing his thing with and for us. That means everything. And get Drew, Bledsoe, and Mark Rippon. Gardner Minshew was at our golf tournament just a couple months ago, and it's so important to get, my statement to the Cougar Nation is get off the freaking sidelines and get into the game, join us, because together we can, like our commissioner said, create a new great story. And what better partner in this quest and being with Oregon State University, a university that, again, shares a lot of our culture, the passion that Steve's talking about. The other thing is, I want to state this, that Coach Bray and the president for Oregon State, went through Washington State. She got her, I think her master's there, President Murthy, and Coach Bray grew up in Pullman. And so there's a connection there. And I really want to encourage not just the Cougar Nation, but Beaver Nation to join us. They have become my second favorite school, and I will root for them until we play them. And I want our guys to kick their asses. But and I'm sure that it's going to be returned. But we need to be together, be bonded in this quest, because together we'll be strong. They have an alumni base of, I think, north of 225,000. I know Washington State has 240,000+, and we're known to draw really good TV audiences. And with CW, really grateful that they came on board with and for us, because there's a beautiful story to be written here, and I want to be a part of that. I want to help in any way I can.
That's well said. Fellas, thank you. You guys came from a variety of different circumstances. Ryan, across the country, came from the state of Washington. You got a lot going on personally here.
5-year-old today.
Yeah, birthday today, right? So thank you all for throwing down for your schools and being here for the media. They'll be available again for one-on-ones. To the greats, appreciate the time. Yeah, best, man.
Good job, man. Great words.
All right, so as these guys make their way down, we're going to introduce the third of 3 acts of this short film. Welcome to the fight, before we bring up the student athletes.
And then everything went sideways. College athletics got flipped upside down.
And an absolute bombshell for college football fans.
The storied Pac-12 on the brink of collapse.
And we find ourselves here, in this moment.
We're carrying a flag for this team, and once again, I'll say it, we belong.
A moment that for many feels like the final act, the finale. But for us, it's the prologue. Because we're still here. We've been counted out before, and we'll be counted out again. But we're not worried. Because our culture, our work ethic was built, not bought. For over 100 years, we've put our head down and gone to work. Don't believe us? Check our record. Let's take a moment to talk about their success. From the trophies, count them, draft picks, and Hall of Famers. Championships aren't dreams here.
Absolutely incredible play.
They're expectations.
Beavers win.
When I think about Wazoo, I think about having a chip on your shoulder.
Out of the backfield. First down and a beautiful cut and a break, another tackle.
I think about being an underdog but expecting to win and getting to beat their ass.
89 yards and the Cougars lead.
It feels nowadays that nothing is constant. But if there's one thing we can count on, is that these two programs will go to work.
To the 15.
Continuing to build on the history and success that has come before them. To be ready when the time comes to unleash.
When I talk of Oregon State, I talk about blue collar, hard nose. You know, nothing's going to be given to us, but we don't mind that.
So call this the beginning. Call this the rebirth. Call it whatever you want. For us, it's any other day. A day to get better. A day to go to work. Beavs and Cougs around the world. Welcome to the fight.
Let's welcome these two young men, Jermaine Terry, tight end, Jaden Robinson, 7 years as a defensive back at Oregon State. This is a really exciting opportunity. Just so you guys know, traditionally in a media day, you're going to go in a circuit of interviews, and there's going to be a Radio Row, and you go interview. Today's going to be a little different. You get to unearth your story. And I've heard these stories, so I'm telling you out there, for those in the media, these four are some of the best I've ever been around. Okay, so Jermaine, let's talk about your path. Paint a picture of what it was like for you growing up in Northern California.
It was dope, man. It was a great experience. I'm from Richmond, California, a small city inside the Bay Area. I was raised by a single mother, only child, so that was tough in itself. She's a grinder, and I really thank her for everything. I mean, she's the reason I'm here. My father passed away at the age of 5, so that was a lot, for me to deal with. I've still been dealing with it my whole life, but it's something I carry with me. Just having the pride for the last name on my back, but also, the name on the front of my jersey when I play is definitely big for me. So being in college, it's been a great experience for me, and I'm really just thankful for it all, a true sense of gratitude.
Oh, there's a lot there in that answer. But let's talk about your mom for a minute. How did she raise you? What was her style like, and how has it influenced you into the man you are today?
She was amazing, to be honest. Realistically, I believe I got the best mom possible for me. She shaped me into being the person I am today as far as morals, just my identity. She was able to push me inside a better direction than what was going on inside my city with a lot of negative things going on inside the community. She was able to really just set the stage for me on how to be a grinder, how to work hard, and, just really just tough it out and get through adversity. So overall, I really just love her to death, and I'm thankful for the sacrifices that she's made.
You referenced your father and being 5 years old. Do you recall that day and what might have happened and how you heard about it?
Yes, sir. So my father passed away inside a car accident, unfortunately. I was told the news that day. It was something I dealt with, something I'm still dealing with at this time, just emotions and everything as a man. We're usually taught to suppress our emotions, so that's something, going to college, having the resources as far as mental health and being able to learn, how to express yourself, that's definitely been beneficial for me. But as far as that, I still got a lot of family here, so I'm just grateful for who are here, those who support me on the daily basis. I really appreciate it.
You were a big recruit. A lot of these guys were. Some of them we have a walk-on we'll talk about here in a minute with Washington State. But for you, you're a huge recruit. You go to Cal, you end up making a change and coming to Corvallis. I think a lot of times in recruiting, narratives get thrown on you, expectations get thrown on you that you don't necessarily ask for. How did you find a way to deal with that once you got to Corvallis? And what has that community done for you as you've navigated it?
Corvallis has welcomed me with open arms. It's been great. It's a great place to be. Just the fan base, the coaches, the players. I think it's really family-oriented, a small-knit college town. I've just been thankful to be there. I've grown as a man, as a person, as a leader, grown in my faith, and ultimately as a football player, as you see today. But really just thankful for going to that place and kind of getting a new beginning in a sense, and just grateful for the opportunity to go out and perform this season.
Yeah, no, grateful you're here as well. All right, so for you, 7th year. That's like the thing at Oregon State, Coach. You got Jaden Grant, you got who I don't know who's next. But will you reflect back on your path to where you are today? I'm curious, sitting here with 1 degree in hand, almost done with another one, and a minor. Can you put in context the journey you've had at Oregon State?
It was a ride for sure. Just getting here with the new coaching staff. It's been a lot. A lot of ups and downs. I've got hurt a couple of times. Bounced back from that. just being around my teammates and my family, is the biggest thing moving forward. So.
Okay, so let's go backwards. And I'd love to hear about what it was like for you growing up as a kid, because you have a catalytic moment when you're 7 years old that may have changed or even saved your life.
Mm-hmm. So I'm originally from Oakland, California, and it's just me, my mom, and my brother. I'm about seven or six right now. I'm at elementary school, and I end up going to a store with one of my young friends, and we don't have no money. So I'm like, how are we about to get this food from the store? So we end up stealing. I steal a bag of Cheetos, I end up eating them. But my daycare is above the hill, so it's about a 2-minute walk. So I walk into my daycare, my family and my daycare people are like, where are you at? Where are you at? They see the Cheeto fingers they see my Cheeto fingers. So they definitely knew I was eating something. So they end up finding out I was at the store down the street, and I ended up getting in trouble. But my mom ended up moving us to Seattle. We stayed in the shelter. We moved up there with about 3 bags of luggage. Just me and my little brother. He's about 3 years younger than me. He just turned 21 in March. And we just took a Greyhound and a couple of trains, got to a shelter in Seattle, was homeless for about 3-4 months in between there, and then ended up finding our way. Eventually, we moved to Federal Way, and in Washington, stayed there, went to middle school and high school there. Then got to Auburn, Washington, started playing football my junior year of high school, and here I am, 7th year in Oregon State.
It's pretty wild. So let's unpack that a little bit if you can. You're 7 years old, you steal a bag of Cheetos, get in trouble for it, but your mom decides that she's gonna move you.
Yeah.
What went into that, and was it abrupt, and how did it happen?
It was abrupt. We probably moved within like 3-4 weeks after that. Her idea behind it was a new start for us, because I have other family and friends who went down the same path, just starting with stealing a bag of Cheetos or just stealing a bag of like a pack of gum, whatever the case may be. But she just seen the path we were going down, and she didn't want that for me and my brother, especially as young black males where we were located. So moving to somewhere else with a brighter opportunity for us was her whole goal.
So both of you referenced your moms as roles in your lives. Your schools have met adversity. You've been a part of those teams as they're going through adversity. We've talked about that a lot and a great deal tonight. How have you leaned on those two women so you can become leaders as the ones that you are on your campus to help guide this roster through a turmoil and a time that nobody could have predicted?
At least for me, I know I look up to my mom as a role model, so just her perseverance, just nose down and going straight at it, how she did, just moving us there, taking a chance, we was her core, so just moving forward and making sure she was okay was the biggest thing.
And then for me, I think it's kind of just the same thing, just kind of remembering your past and, being able to lean on people and their own perspectives, the age you're on. But just as far as that in general, everybody meets adversity in their lives. I've met a ton of it, he's met a ton of it, and a lot of people here probably have. But the biggest thing is to continue moving on and just growing and just really just trying to reach the success that we're just trying to have. That's really just the biggest thing in a situation like this. All you can do is control what you can control.
Fellas, appreciate the time. Best of luck this season. All right, we got Kyle Williams, 5th year, over 60 grabs a year ago. Also knows this city pretty well. Career began here at UNLV. Kyle Thornton, 6th year. You're competing to get to 7, man, but former walk-on. Appreciate you guys spending some time. I'm curious. You watch that film, you hear from distinguished alums. What do you take away from tonight so far?
I feel like it's just a night of knowledge of everything and growth for me. Just seeing all the alumni and the greats that are here and just hearing everything they got to say. Just you can hear the passion in their voice and how everything means to them and what it's like to be left out. So, yeah.
I think Jack said it best, legacy. All the legacy that you see in these videos and all the people that have come before us, it really just represents what these universities really stand for. And when you're only here for the limited time that you are, some a little more than others, you just get to really feel like how small you really are in the grand scheme of things of these universities. There's just so many people that have come before us and really laid the ground for what we're standing on right now, and I just could be more blessed for it.
Okay, so let's talk about family. how did it begin for you, and paint a picture of how you found your way to the West Coast?
So it started off in Baltimore. I moved out when I was about 7, 8. Just jumped on a plane with a random dude. That was my dad. I didn't know him at the time. Got off the plane. I ended up staying with my sister's grandma for a little bit. Just bouncing around from home to home, just trying to find a stable house. And then it was one day that my dad just decided to bring me to my stepmom's house. He dropped me off, and then that was it from there. And then, yeah, that's how I met my mom.
Wow. And tell us about who you call mom now. How does she show up in your life?
It's crazy because this sometimes makes me tear up just thinking about it. I got off walked in the house. She looked at me. It was like a face of disgust at first. Like, who is this kid? And then as time goes on and she sees that I never really had a mother in my life, she ended up taking over that role. And like, she's such a strong woman for that. She was already dealing with 4 other kids, and for you to bring another kid in the house that you have no ties to, and you want to show him that mother label and play that role for him when you had no obligations to it, it really showed a lot for me, and she really holds a special place in my heart.
And there's a theme that's kind of come out tonight, which is like, when adversity strikes, like, do you meet the moment? That woman met the moment for you. How has that continued to be a guiding light for you as you have had many moments of adverse situations throughout your life?
It's just knowing that, like, for her, I've never seen her give up. I've seen her shed tears, but I've never just seen her back away from any situation. She attacked every problem, head down, chin up, chest poked out. You never see any worries on her face. So just seeing the way she responded to adversity, it just gave me the strength to know that if she could do anything, I could do anything.
Aaron Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Aaron Williams, indeed. So for you, for football, I think it's fascinating. How'd you find football, and how'd you find out you were even good at it?
It started off like just on the block, just running away from dogs, hopping gates. It was one of my neighbors. He just seen me running away from a dog, and he was like, "Damn, boy, you were pretty fast. Like, we should put you on the field." And at first, he was a baseball coach, so he wanted me to try baseballs. He was like, "Oh, you can steal all the bases." I just couldn't hit it off the tee. I never had no hand and eye coordination. And then it was just one day I got on the field, and I just hated being touched. I just felt like it was the most nastiest thing, like, get away from me. And then so I was just making everybody miss, and I was just scoring touchdowns. And then I just felt like it was just a space of peace and happiness for me. Like, I had no worries when I was on the field. I felt free. I wasn't thinking, like, all at-home worries and off the field issues. There was none there.
Peace and happiness, and nobody can touch you. I think that's a theme, Coach, that hopefully continues this fall for you. Your theme. I mean, you weren't highly recruited, and as a former walk-on, man, you know, I got love for a lot of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
How did you find your way to Pullman?
Honestly, so coming out of high school, as you referenced, really didn't have anything going for me. It was pretty much either JUCO or I was blessed with a walk-on opportunity from an old coach, Ken Wilson. Funny story is that by the time I took my visit up to Washington State, he wasn't even there anymore. He had taken the job at Oregon. I guess that was a sign of things to come, the turbulence that was going to be coming. But really, it was just an opportunity. And I knew coming in that, especially with the coach already leaving, I wasn't going to have much given to me besides that. You know, I walked in and I was promised a name on a locker, and that was about it. And I knew that it was up to me to make the most of that opportunity, and I like to say it's gone pretty well so far.
I feel like every college football player has this moment, but definitely walk-ons, where it's like early in training camp, and you're in your dorm, and you're looking up at the sky or looking up at the ceiling, and you're like, what am I doing here? Did you have a catalytic moment for yourself where you had to make a decision? Am I going to dip, or am I going to throw down and really go compete for this opportunity?
No, absolutely. So, you know, we get up there in summer. I think June is when the freshmen report. In summer, everyone's together. There's no separation between everyone. The coaches do a really great job of making everyone feel together. But, you know, you get into that report day and that first meeting, kind of setting the rosters before camp, and coaches were in there, and coaches talking about, all right, here's the depth chart for fall camp. And I'm looking at that thing, and I'm like, okay, that's not me. No, that's not me either. Like, keep going all the way down, and I'm like 15th in the room, dead last, like, my name's like written like barely even legible. And I'm like, this is really where I'm at? And that was that moment for me of like, this is where you're at. You came here and you're a nobody. And that hit pretty hard. You know, that's a hard thing to sleep on that first night where, you know, your name's not Kyle Thornton anymore. It's, hey, scout, come here. Hey, scout, go do this. Hey, line up and give this look. And so it hit hard, but that's something that just you keep with you throughout your journey, and it builds that chip on your shoulder that if you want to do something great, you got to earn it.
You know, the other three athletes that have been up here talked about the influence of their mother at an early age of their life. Your mom influenced you at 14. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so we had recently moved to California from Arizona, and, you know, we went up on some cabin trip, just a little camping trip for a couple days. We get back, and my mom randomly starts kind of feeling a little fever come on, you know, some kind of flu symptoms. We don't think nothing too much of it, but she kind of deals with it for a couple days, just tries to ignore it, you know, typical mom stuff, putting on that boss face, you know, still taking care of the family. But, you know, a couple days goes by, and she's really not feeling good. She ends up going into the hospital, and within about 24 hours, she goes from just having the common cold to having what's called Guillain-Barré, which is a super rare autoimmune disease where essentially your nerves start attacking themselves. And so she went from being fully healthy to paralyzed up to her mouth. And for about a week, we didn't even know if she was going to make it. So that was a super scary time, obviously in a super new place, a lot of new faces, a lot of new change going on, transitioned to high school, and like the matriarch of the family is just like laying up in the bed, and you don't know if she's going to make it out. And that was a really tough time for the family. But, you know, the thing that, like, made me most proud is just she never, no matter what she was going through, she never forgot to ask how I was doing. Always showing love to me no matter what she was going through.
How's she doing now?
Now she's fully healthy. All thanks to God, she's doing amazing, fully recovered, and now loves making it to as many Coug games as she can.
Yeah, she does. She's got that jersey on. There you go. Well, I got a couple more for you, but I want to make sure we open it up. Ron Stone Jr.
Oh, God.
You guys mentioned some of the great Coug alums that have came from the past. Who would you say your favorite Coug alum is?
Me first?
Yeah.
Can't say Ron Stone Jr.
No.
We know you. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that Brennan Jackson guy, he was really a cool hero for me.
No, never mind.
I don't know. It's hard, you know. When you've been there for 6 years, there's a lot of good faces to pick from. Jahad Woods is definitely up there. I mean, the guy's still on the board for like 4th most tackles in his career. I was there to witness his 165 tackle season. Just like being in his position now, it's unreal to fathom just how amazing that is. So he's got to be up there.
My favorite alum is Shaw Smith-Wade, somebody that tested me at practice every day, and I think he still has my number to this day, so when I see him in the next level, I'm going to get him.
I'm curious for you guys, the chip on the shoulder, you know, as Jack Thompson said, it's always been there. As Ryan said, it's anybody can play anywhere else. This takes a special individual to play at these schools. But everything that this team and these teams have gone through over the course of the last year, I'm curious what it's done to the players in the locker room.
Honestly, I think it's only brought us closer. You know, talking about the chip on our shoulder, you know, being the Cougs and being the Beavs, we've always kind of been the little brothers in the pack. And so now we're moving on to just a different stage. Now we're just the little brothers to the whole world. And with that, it just only grows the chip. You know, I think a lot of people are asking, like, oh, what's changed? What's new? When you're the little brother, all you know how to do is fight. All you know how to do is roll your sleeves up and fight. Even though you got a little less, whatever you got, it's enough. We're ready to throw down with whoever.
Piggybacking off of that, I just feel like we're not looking for any handouts. A lot of people want to follow the hype, and we're into creating our own hype. So just making our own lane and making a path for where the Cougs could be successful and everything, that's what we're doing.
I think just on behalf of everybody in the room, you two, you didn't have to be as vulnerable as you were tonight. We could have talked about how you run routes and how you make tackles and how you make plays, but big props to both of you. I think these 4 stories are amazing. I hope you all compete to see who can tell it on your platform first, and thank you all for telling those stories tonight. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Yogi.
All right, final session of the night. Let's bring up the commissioner of the Pac-12, Teresa Gould.
Hello.
See you. All right, what do you think? How's this gone?
It's amazing. I have so much energy sitting here tonight looking at all of this. I have to say, I probably previewed those videos at least 5 times, and I still, like, my heart is just like pounding in my chest. Yeah. Like, I've never played football before, but I really want to put a helmet and some pads on and go out and hit somebody, because those videos just really capture, in my mind, the spirit and the passion and the grit of the Cougs and the Beavs. So I love it. I'm having a great time.
I think there's something to the theme, Welcome to the Fight, and the title of that short film that you referenced. You go back to your early days, you go back to now and the fight that you're in as the commissioner of this league. How's that landed on you after hearing from these distinguished greats and the alums, coaches, and players?
Well, I would say, like, being here tonight, like, first and foremost, I have to just say these young men, like, that's why I'm in the fight. That is why I'm in the fight. And I want them to hear that. And I want everybody else in the room to hear that. I get asked often why I said yes when I got the call from the presidents to take this job. And the answer to that was really easy. I said that there are 1,000 student athletes on these two campuses that deserve to have a leader that fights on their behalf. And that's what I'm going to do. And just sitting here tonight, and I just applaud all of you. You have amazing stories. I really, really respect and appreciate what you do in representing your universities. And I really look forward to getting to know all of you and fighting on your behalf. It's an exciting opportunity.
Okay, so when you got this opportunity, your initial press conference, I remember because I moderated it, your line was very clean. We're going to be bold, aggressive, intentional, open-minded, and adaptable. Okay, a couple months later, how do you think that has gone for you as the leader of this conference?
I think we've been successful in achieving in the short term the things that we wanted to achieve, right? And I will say, I am very fortunate because I have phenomenal alignment with our two athletic directors. I have phenomenal alignment with our two university presidents, and we are all fighters, and we are not going to back down. And when you look at the things that we've accomplished in such a short period of time, right? When you look at the conversations that we had with the CFP to make sure that these two programs were treated fairly, when you look at the media rights agreement, scheduling agreements, the other things that we've been working on, that collective success is a result of this mindset that we have about being bold and aggressive, right? We're not going anywhere. We're here to support these programs. We're here to find a long-term future for them, and we're gonna do it in a bold, confident, and aggressive way.
Okay, so we've seen bold, we saw the past and the present. Let's talk about the future a little bit. I know you're gonna get asked it, and we'll open up here in a minute. What is the future for these two teams, for this league, in your eyes?
Well, look, I got hired, and priority number one is for me to forge a future for these student athletes in these programs where they can succeed at the highest level. So what we collectively are working on is really taking a step back and saying, what are the possibilities? What are the scenarios? And I want to be really clear, like, there's not just one, there's not just two, right? It is my job to consider any and all options to meet the objectives that we have for these programs. And we have strong agreement across these two institutions about what our guiding principles are, how we're going to make those decisions. But most of our time right now is spent evaluating the national landscape, keeping our ear to the ground about what's going on with all of the movement and all the changes that are happening in our industry, and then being really thoughtful and really prepared. What is our strategy? What do we need to be ready for? And that's exactly what we're doing. There is no foregone conclusion about any one solution. And I owe it to these young men and to all these student athletes in these programs to be open-minded about any option that might come our way, and then to be ready for that.
Power leagues, the power tier. You hear that phrase a lot. When you're in discussions with the powers that be that you're connecting with and meeting with a lot in college athletics, when you talk about these two schools, what's the dialogue like around why they belong among the power teams in college football and college athletics?
Yeah, I think I appreciate you asking that question because I get asked that question a lot. And my answer is very simple. These programs have never competed at any other level but the highest level of college athletics across this country. So quite candidly, I sometimes wonder why we're even having that conversation. Like, if you look at the history of these two football programs, as recently as last year, and where we were in terms of CFP rankings, if you look at the history of these two programs, not only in football and the national rankings and the All-Americans and the bowl victories and the accolades of these two programs goes on and on and on. We have always competed at the highest level. That has never changed. You look across their athletic departments, and you look at College World Series and Soccer College Cup and men's basketball, NCAA success, these programs have always competed at the highest level and won at the highest level. These two coaches are recruiting at the highest level against the highest resourced programs in this country. So quite candidly, I wonder sometimes why we're even having that conversation, because the position that they're in is because of nothing that has to do with the facts about their programs and the competitive level that they compete against. So when I have conversations with my peers at the commissioner level, I mean, I think the facts speak for themselves. They belong with the highest resourced programs in this country.
Also been conversations around bowl games lately. What can you say about the state of bowl games within this league and these teams?
Yeah, well, that was a short-term priority. I mean, when I met with Coach Dickert and I met with Coach Bray early on in my tenure, that was something that we all talked about, and the importance of these young men earning the ability to play in a postseason bowl, right? And those bowl games, those bowl relationships that we've had, the relationships we've had in the Pac-12 are really important, not only to our student athletes in these programs, but our communities, right? Those communities have come accustomed to having high-level quality football, and huge kudos to Merton Hanks and Shauna Brown and others that worked really hard to make sure that we were able to maintain those relationships so that these two programs have access to the traditional bowls that we've had access to over the past.
The facility, it's state-of-the-art when you look at the technology. A couple months ago, hired Michael Molinari to run that. How's that been going in terms of generating and creating other opportunities outside of these two schools?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. And when you talk about being, bold and aggressive and open-minded, one of the responsibilities that I have as the leader of this organization is to really be thoughtful around bringing in revenue and bringing in resources to distribute back to our campuses to support these young people and to support their experience, right? And I always tell my team, every penny that we spend is a penny that doesn't go back to these student athletes. So when I think about Pac-12 Enterprises and the decision that our two university presidents made to keep that asset, it was a very, very smart and very strategic decision. So that facility, as you know, is only a year old, state-of-the-art technology, top quality people, right? Michael Molinari is just one example of best-in-class, talented people in the broadcast industry, and I'm excited about what that facility can mean for us, not only in terms of putting out content to tell the stories of these student athletes and promoting these programs, but partnering with entities like the CW to provide production services and others. The interest level in that facility from a broadcast services perspective has been way beyond expectations. And I really look forward to seeing what we can do with that, again, in terms of not only creating content and telling stories, but bringing in revenue to support the mission. We also made the decision recently to maintain our Pac-12 Insider Fast Channel. There's been some conversation recently at recent media days about fast channels, and we're the only conference that has a fast channel. And we look forward to continuing that as a platform to tell the stories of these two programs and amplify their successes.
I know it's been a challenge, but for you now and the role you have as you reference moving forward, what's it like every day, waking up and going to work on behalf of the 1,000 athletes that you reference and fighting, competing to make sure that the future is bright versus decided by somebody else?
Yeah, I actually think it's rewarding and invigorating, right? I have been a fighter my whole life, right? I'm from a small farming community in Iowa, so I'm pretty gritty. And I actually think this work is so rewarding because of what's at stake and who I'm fighting for. And I tell people all the time, I'm 35 years, I think, into my career right now. There is nothing more worthwhile for me to spend my time on than this fight and this battle. And I will overturn every rock and swing at every strike that I need to figure out a path for these programs. And I find it energizing, and I'm passionate about it, and I'm really enjoying the work.
And thank you for enjoying tonight. It was a unique experience, a different experience, and hopefully you enjoyed After Hours with the Cougs and the Beavs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.